So here's the way it works with sermons. And no, there's not an email that goes out and says, Rabbi, talk about this on this Yom Kippur, or there's not some sermons.com site where we pull them off the web. It doesn't work that way. It's said that the rabbi doesn't find a sermon, that the sermon actually finds the rabbi. Because sermons are an outpouring of something that's very deep within us, and it's yearning to get out. And the topics grow from our life experiences, from our work with communities such as all of you, the creation, it's our own encounter with Judaism. So what follows today is a sermon that found me. It's one that I can't get out from under. It's the product of a lifetime of experiences, refracted through my own exploration of this world, my own attempts to gain deeper wisdom and deeper knowledge. And it's a reflection also on my own life choices and the light that I hope my life casts on the generations to follow me. Now, I have no doubt some of you will hear my words and find common ground and perhaps even silently applaud and cheer. If you want to do it out loud, that's okay too. Some of you will hear my words and reflect on your own choices, and perhaps you'll be inspired to make your own different choices as a result of what I say. Some of you will hear my words and think, here he goes again, it's stern. Some of you might even say, why this topic of all topics today? And I have an answer for that right away. And that is, none of this is to undermine or deny any of the other concerns across the range of issues that I could choose to speak about. But I want to say this, there are 5 rabbis who will appear before you during these holy days. Collectively, we cover a broad range of issues. This is the one that I've chosen to share. No, it hasn't been assigned to me. I chose to share it. So regardless of how these words strike you, I want to affirm, and this is so important in this world today, that we are a big tent. We are a big tent, and there's room for a range of beliefs and ideals. And at the very least, I hope that what these words inspire you is to engage in a dialogue, a conversation that might not have happened were you not here today, because it's that important. So on this day, we call Rosh Hashanah Hayom Harat Olam, the day of the world's creation, the birthday of the world. I want to talk about the world. I'm the father of a Noah. And so I'm not sure if one fed the other, or that because I'm the father of a Noah, that story in the Torah has always drawn my attention. And of course, early in Noah's life, his room was filled with the expected Noah tchotchkes, smiling animals prancing 2 by 2 into a rainbow-covered ark, stuffed representatives of Noah and his white-bearded Noah and his wife, and it was just a regular old festival of biblical kitsch. But there's a part of the Noah story that has never been on any nursery wall, I guarantee it, because it's what happens after the ark doors are closed. The Torah says the following, and all flesh that stirred on the earth perished, birds, cattle, beasts, and all the things that swarmed upon the earth, and all mankind. Now, no child's book has those words in it, I guarantee it. Humans, because think about what it says. It says that human beings were so evil that God essentially had no choice. God had to start over, redo creation. Humans had destroyed themselves along with nature because of their evil deeds. That's not a kid's story. That's a powerful parable. A warning to subsequent generations that human evil can cause the destruction of all life. And that humans, and this is the ark story, and this is the rainbow side of the story, that human beings also have the capacity to save life. After all, God doesn't build the ark. People do. For as long as I can remember, I've been a lover of nature. As a child, I once wandered so deep into a wilderness near my home that my mom had to call out the cops to bring me back. We lived on 3 acres of forest growing up, and on weekends we used to go off into the woods and turn over rocks and streams looking for crayfish, or run through the woods like a deer hopping from rock to rock. And so when I read the story of Noah, it speaks to me of that kind of beauty in our world, and ultimately of how fragile it really is. And it's the fragility that keeps me up at night. I worry I really do, about the oceans of plastic floating in our oceans, a result of our discardable consumption. I worry about pesticides and chemicals entering our bodies, brought on by overuse and inadequate regulations. I worry about carbon emissions and a planet that is dangerously heating, because we are all addicted to oil and natural gas and to coal. And I worry about the water we drink, about its cleanliness and its availability, as drought becomes more common and pollutants seep in. And I worry about the air we breathe and the chemicals that are spewed into it daily. It is a world out of balance. It is nature in upheaval. Now, while scenes of Noah's floods, destructions are not on nursery walls, every version does have the rainbow. And that's the promise. That's the promise of a world restored, rejuvenated by the animals, by Noah and his family. And that, too, is a symbol for us of what we can achieve and the hope that in a not-too-distant future, there will be rainbows, and we can restore nature's precious balance. And there's one more biblical image, familiar image, I want you to hold on to as well. It's about the prophet Elijah. We've all met Elijah. He visits us at our Seder tables. We open the door, but we don't know a lot about his background, and he's one of the strangest characters in the Bible. Why, of every single other personality mentioned in the Bible, is Elijah the one for whom we open the door? What's so special about him? The answer is because in the Bible's strange retelling of Elijah's story, he never dies. Elijah doesn't die. In the Bible, it says Elijah is brought up into heaven by a whirlwind, and he's the only one for whom that happens. Moses, Abraham, Ruth, they all are dying buried. Elijah brought up to heaven in a whirlwind. So he's around. He's got time on his hands. He visits us for Passover. And when he shows up at our door, he's promising a future, in the words of another prophet now, that invokes Elijah's name, where the hearts of parents will be reconciled with their children and children with their parents. And so the land will be saved from destruction. That's what the prophet says. But in the meantime, Elijah waits, and he watches, and he visits. And Jews throughout history have been fascinated by Elijah because of all the characters in the Bible. His version of eternal life gives him this unique God's eye view of all time. God's eye view. Elijah sees the past, the present, and the future in one gaze. God's eye view for us means it's not just about our own lives, it's not just about our children and grandchildren, but it's about looking so far into the future, as far as we possibly not even imagine, but as far as we can fathom. God's eye view. Hold on to that phrase, especially in the context of our environment, because it inspires me. It inspires me to try my best to look at the world like Elijah, to look into the eyes of my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren, and to promise them that I've done all that I can do to give them a world that they can actually live in. It inspires me to promise them, across a distance of years, that I will invest my time and my resources, that I've made choices that weren't selfishly focused on my own life, but also impacted theirs. So I've made this pledge to do the following, and the list is growing, and I am imperfect at following any one of these rules for myself. First, to reduce my carbon footprint, to drive electric, to cut back energy use and keep my house a bit warmer in the summer and a bit cooler in the winter and so on. All those things that we know we can do. To stop eating meat, both for my health and for the health of the land, the air, and the climate. To purchase as much organic food as I can because it's good for my family, but more importantly, it supports a way of farming that is better for the land. And to reduce water use. The grass is gone at the Stern household, and it looks pretty good, I have to say. I'm trying my best to cut down on my use of plastics. That's a tough one, but we have to keep trying. And finally, to advocate for policies that protect this planet. Even if they might cost us a little bit at first, I am willing to absorb that cost. Because when it comes to my future descendants, the ones I will never meet, I can invest a few bucks on their behalf. Now, I'm by no means a model of virtue, and comfort and convenience and, laziness often overpower environmentalism. And to be perfectly honest, I do drive my wife a little crazy. You can imagine that. And what I know, though, and here's what inspires me, so many other people are taking steps to make the planet livable for the future generations. So many of you are taking the God's eye view. We live in a state that leads. We've cleaned our air and water magnificently. That view used to not be a view. It used to be much, much, much browner. There are more Teslas at Wise than in some states in the Union. And those chargers out there were installed free by the DWP. 40 of them. That's progress. More and more folks are installing solar on their homes. Lots of us buy organic. We cut down on our meat eating. We're careful about what we throw away. That's a great start. And every time one of us makes a clean choice, we move the needle just a little bit. And that's reason to be optimistic. The ancient rabbis, they tell a story of Adam and Eve walking through the Garden of Eden. They imagine them going on a tour of the newly created world, and God says, here are the flowers, here are the lions, here are the mountains, here's the bountiful ocean. I've given it all to you, a glorious world. It's yours. Don't ruin it. God probably said something else, but I can't use that language in front of all of you. That speaks such truth to me. My generation was the first to see that spectacular photograph of Earth rising over the moon. It was taken in 1968 on Christmas Eve. That stunning blue disk, sparkling and radiant. We have been given a remarkable, remarkable gift. A planet unlike any other. It sustains our lives, and it is rich with spectacular beauty. And so I extend an invitation to you, if you are willing. If you find that these words do speak to your heart and to your soul, to act with your own God's eye view. So when the next generation looks back on me and you and us together, they will say, thank you for giving us the gift of this remarkable and eminently livable planet. We have got some work to do.